Outside the Olympic grandstand, a more vicious rivalry rages. The police say nearly half of the Los Angeles area is now gangland. According to the sheriff, the Santana Blocc has the worst reputation for violence.
At that time, you gotta understand that we was probably really highly involved in the drugs.
So you had money?
We had plenty of money.
Here's some bangers down here that are getting together. He's not in the gang, is he?
There was numerous gang problems that occurred outside and surrounding the Olympic Stadium, right? But you had Exposition Park, you had the Coliseum, you had the sports arena.
Los Angeles, home for nearly 13 million people, the world's focus for this year's depleted Olympics. It's been called a suburb in search of a city, a massive improvisation, America's fastest growing urban sprawl.
First of all, we got to understand what the media did. The media pumped it up for whatever reason, because the Olympics were awarded to the city of Los Angeles in 1984. So what happened, the media started doing an investigation. They was concerned of what the gang problem might be.
Teenagers in many cities sprawl on city walls and work out their aggression on the nighttime streets. But here, the bravado is backed up by deadly weapons.
A man's man, a man that go kill with this is really mad. Will kill. This
You better watch out.
is an M1 carbine, 32 rounds. When it comes to the home front, mine, that's when we use it. Yeah. And when they come shoot us, we go back and shoot them. Hey, look, hey, man, comes to the rule. Battle scarred, man.
Compton was the American dream. Sunny California, with a palm tree in the front yard, the camper, the boat. Temptingly close to the Los Angeles ghetto in the 50s and 60s, it became the black American dream. Now, with 74% of the population, black power is the fact of life, from banks to bowling alleys.
Because of the housing and things of that nature. As with me, I grew up on 124th. I grew up in a cool household, grandparents. Now, my mother was an educator for over 35 years. You know, my father's a pillar of the community. They call him coach. You know, he coached high school football and whatnot. It's just when we got to the 7th grade.
What year was that?
1976.
So things were starting, as far as the gangs, things were starting to kick into high gear by that
Picking
point.
up, yeah. So I ended up going to LA schools because my mother was adamant on I wanted to have a better education.
I've always had a sheltered type of life. I grew up around like people, I don't know if you know about Ted Watkins. That got Ted Watkins Park now, and it was be Will Rogers Park and Watts, former of the WLCAC back in the day. And Ted Watkins was the man.
Yeah, I heard the name.
And he was like my father, man. That I wish I love him like my dad today. I love Ted Watkins. He took me and his son Timothy and Tom and treated me no different than he treated his kids. You know, every Christmas I was at their house. So it's like, man, even in Compton, I go there, everybody there, they got all the best things, the finest things, because they got the motherfucking environment. And everything that we wanted for the next person to have it. You see what I'm saying? We always looked out for each other. All of us always brought each other up. We wanted to be the ones that, the up guys, you know what I mean? But we was up, and we did it ourselves. And we had the money we could ask our family for. We didn't ask them for shit. We went out and did it ourselves. However we had to do it.
With us, our older homeboys were basically like, you're gonna pick a side. You know what I mean? When you go to school, you are from this area. And that was like basically for everybody my age all over Los Angeles County. You had to pick a side.
Oh, as early as 1976.
Once you got, you know, if you were any part of one of the little kids hanging out, and the older homies saw potential, and the older homies weren't even 18. So it wasn't like grown men exploiting children. You know, you got your 15, 16-year-olds.
Telling you 12-year-olds.
Yeah, telling 12, 13-year-olds that, you know, you from over here, you know when you go to school, you're gonna fight them dudes that are from over there.
The black gangs divide into two warring clans, the Crips and the Bloods of Piru.
You're proud of the fact that you're Blood. Why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm down. I'm down for it. Because I'm a true. I come from the heart.
But why? Why be in a gang? What's in it for you?
What's in it?
I mean, you can get killed, right?
Yeah.
Well, you mean some of your friends been killed?
Yeah.
So
For the simple cause.
What's the simple cause?
Of being a blood. Going down with the Bloods. That's how we feel. We die, it's like we go kill one of them. One of them die, because they down for it. They'll get took out.
And then guess what happens after one of them die?
And they come back. And then it's a feud until they don't want no more, until everybody just drop it. But ain't nobody gonna drop it.
Now, you're willing to die for whatever this cause is?
If that's what it takes.
Yeah, I'm not saying you want to. I'm saying you
No,
would.
I don't want to. But if somebody riled up on me and take me out, I guess it was my time to go like that. But ain't nobody did it yet, so I guess it ain't my time to go.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
The leader of the Santana Blocc Crips is 24, a drug peddler. He's been a gang member since he was 14. Kenneth Johnson, known as Turtle.
How I started, I had just moved to California. And I was going to Roosevelt Junior High School. And a lot of bloods used to come up to the school and run them everybody home. You know, and I used to wonder, you know, what's happening? What they running everybody home for? Well, it's skating rain, partner. So, you know, I used to wonder what they running for. What's Crip? What's Pyru? So I go home. My buddies used to, you know, ask me what I'm doing coming from that way. You a Pyru? I said, no, man. And I get stopped on the other side of the street. They ask me if I'm a Crip. And I say, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So I was in the, you know, in the blind. I didn't know what was what. Till a couple of guys told me, you know, Pyru's over there, you know, Crips over here, you know.
They came to Los Angeles. They got in contact with a guy. His name was Graves, Deputy Graves. We used to call him Goofy because he had this goofy look on his face, and he was Operation Safe Street, OSS.
How many kids do you think you know on site? I mean, I'm so struck by the fact that everywhere we go, you're waving at everybody. I mean, well, you probably know 300 or 400 kids by now. Minimum, yeah. You know, right now, you know, it's just so many of my family.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's happening, man?
You.
New haircut.
Let me see it. Let me see the backside. All right, then.
111 forever.
All right, then. I ought to smack the shit out of him. We'll be back. Be back later.
But you look at this, you know, it looks like a normal middle-class neighborhood, doesn't it?
That's right.
And this is prime gang turf.
Prime. A lot of people make the mistake or say that, hey, all these kids that in gangs are poor, come from single-parent families. It's not the truth. Some of them do, some of them don't.
You see any hope that's getting any better?
I keep wishing, but I really don't see it. You know, I really don't see it getting better.
A unit of the sheriff department that dealt directly with gangs, they supposed to have all the intel information.
Crash exist at this time?
I don't remember Crash at that time. Not saying they weren't there, but
When it was first, it was OSS.
OSS, Operation State Street. So what happens? The guy asks, and we'll give him a name. His name is Jim, and he asks the guy, who did he thought posed the greatest threat to the Summer Olympics or to be a disruption to what was happening during this period of time? And for the reason, the guy said the Santana Blocc Crips. He said they were probably the most ruthless, the most dangerous, and the most...
According to the sheriff, the Santana Blocc has the worst reputation for violence, although these days their numbers are down. 14 of them have been killed in the Gangland wars.
So at that point, we took him to the street races, Florence and Maine. They followed us everywhere. We get pulled over by the highway patrol.
The phenomenon of the black gangs dates back to the mid-70s. The promise of better housing after the riots of the 60s was never kept. The idealism of black community politics turned sour. For many of the young, black pride became black defiance.
That's what. The shooting started about, what, 76, I'm Melvin. 76. You know, they stopped fighting. They just started shooting. You know, and it was something new to me. You know, we used to fight all the time. The next minute, I'm hearing some gunshots. So the only thing I said to myself, say, man, we're going to start doing what they doing. You know, same thing they do to us, we do to them. That wasn't me, but you had to, you know, either do or die, stay in the house. You know, fight or stay in the house. So I wasn't gonna stay in the house for nobody.
How many guys are in the joint right now?
About 20, there's close to 20 to 30 of them.
And what are they there for?
Murders, robberies, kidnapping. Well, ain't too many kidnapping. Murder, robberies, gang violence, you know, mostly all that, you know.
And who's this gang violence against?
The Blood and other gang members, you know.
If you're asking specifically about that gang, they are a very violent and very active gang in Los Angeles County. They've had a number of incidents involving homicides, shooting on a regular basis. So gun warfare is not uncommon to that gang at all.
And go shoot some Q102. East Santana. What they call you, Call me Red. Red? Yeah. You OG Red? Yeah. Original gangster. Right, and gang. All right.
Most gangs don't have a particular leader, but they have a group of guys who are considered more or less their leadership. Well, the fellow that you just mentioned is a very active gang member.
I don't call myself a leader. I don't like nobody saying I got boys, because I don't like that. You know, but somebody have to do the thinking, you know. And I'm the only one around, don't get high, don't smoke dope or nothing, so I figure I can do the thinking.
It's not really, and that's what's puzzling about it. They tried to say some individuals, but those individuals didn't do it.
So it wasn't a gang? No. So then what would it have been? Was he just standing outside?
Him and Twin, he had got a call, he was on the phone call. And they came outside.
Were they at a drug spot or?
No, they was at his girlfriend's house.
In Linwood?
In Linwood. And it's a step up from Compton. Let me put it that way.
It's less violent.
Yes. So when he come out, Turtle called Twin. They shooting. So Twin, they shooting. Twin takes off. Turtle got to run around. So Turtle got hit. And they took his leg out and they took his center mass. So he couldn't run no more because they took his leg out. They hit you if you getting hit with a 223.
Yeah, you fall down.
Yeah, you're not going nowhere. Twin runs all the way to my homie Big T. Shout out to Terrell. Runs to his house, which happened to be a couple of blocks up, and he went in there and said, "Man," and he told Terrell that they had Turtle got shot. So Terrell gets in his car and go back, and sure enough, by this time, the Linwood sheriffs are there, got the whole area cordoned off, and they won't let nobody in. And everybody can see Turtle right there, laying down, moving like.
And they won't.
The Chicago gangs are basically, the older gangs are deep-rooted. They're very territorially minded. They believe that they are warriors protecting that particular neighborhood from an outside gang coming into that gang. They consider themselves actual soldiers. Where in black gangs, they consider themselves gangsters.
I became the person to all, I'm not going to name all these guys, because there's a lot of guys that probably still out there, but all the larger guys, the bigger guys in the city that you can possibly think of, yes, I was the one that cooked the dope. Just all the guys that was either on the east side or Compton.
Neighborhoods rife with drug dealing and violent rivalries, suspicion is everywhere.
Hey, my man, is this your car?
The wrong car, the wrong face, in the wrong neighborhood.
Now, if your sister has no job and you got no job, things must be pretty good with a lotto game, huh? Hey, my man, how much money you got back here? $2,100, just in case. Max for what? Maybe narcotics for sales or something. A lot of money for a man with no job.
What kind of case you got going that you need $2,100 for?
For my lawyer.
What type of case?
Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, what kind of case? Don't bullshit this guy.
Drug case?
For what, sales? For what? Just for possession?
Two of the men were arrested but later released with no charges filed.
Where you going? Where you going?
It was very organized because you understand we had the police. We had the lookouts. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We had about 6 different houses. And in all those guys, you got the guys that came from the south side, the guys that came from Occasion, and all over Compton that came to us to buy their work. You know, it didn't make them, you know, it don't make them less or anything. Just what it was. So we get to the point where Jim want to start asking about the Olympics. So we like looking at it, we like puzzled by it, like Olympics. We're not even thinking about the Olympics. We don't care. Do you see all this money right here? Do you see all these weapons?
Compton's a ways from the Coliseum.
Yes. You want my opinion on it? I believe we were problematic to the sheriff department because we were centrally located in Compton and we was governed by the Compton police and the sheriff. We were such a problem for them. They used that situation in order because
to get a spotlight on you.
Yes, to get a spotlight on the whole circumstance.
We just like a family. The Tanner gang is just like a family.
A veteran of many wars, Angelo Daniels.
I was over there on Willow Street, me and the homeboys, Turtle, and Rabbit, all of us was kicking over there on Willow Street over there by Fat Daddy house. And let me see. We was fixing on the ride, and about 20 guys outside. Yeah, about 20 of us outside. Rules came from behind the house, shooting. And they shoot twins. And they got me and my brother, you know, twins at the same time. You know what I'm saying? They got me in the back and my brother in the nose. I rolled over on him, caught him over there by the tracks. I shot at him, and as I was rolling back towards the hood, police swooped on me. And somebody up in working on the telephone pole seen us where I threw the gun and they snagged me with the gun, took me to jail, Captain Crab, Santana Blocc.
You know, they running through, they talking to a couple of my homies.
S-Gang.
Yeah, S-Gang, and you know, they talking to Twin, what's your name, Compton Crib, bust your lip, and he tell them all that.
Assault with a deadly weapon.
And did you get convicted or did you get off?
I dismissed it.
Why was he dismissed?
Not enough evidence.
Not evidence when we charged me with no witnesses. They didn't want to come and testify that I shot at them.
Why don't witnesses testify in court?
Why do you see it? That's right, because they're scared of the Tanner. What's your lab?
Why should they be scared?
Huh?
Why should they be scared?
Because we mean the rather snake.
We ran it like a Fortune 500.
Probably would have been RICO'd later on.
Probably, based on everything we were doing, yes. Probably. We didn't understand, you know what I mean, because...
Critics contend that sweeps for gang members often border on harassment.
Every time I drive, boom, pull over, get out, knees down, hands up. I know the routine.
Christopher, what's this used for? Let me get.
Very tough to them. Could you talk that way to citizens in Beverly Hills?
I don't have that problem with citizens in Beverly Hills, you know. Down here, if you talk nice to them and slap them on the hand a little bit, they're just going to walk around a corner and do something else, you know.
Who are the major players now in supplying PCP to Washington?
The gangs in Los Angeles.
And that is something new. The Drug Enforcement Administration says the LA gangs now have a virtual monopoly on PCP, and with good reason.
And I could take $62.50 and go get a half ounce of PCP.
Wait, a half ounce of PCP?
For $62.50 out of the Nixon Gardens. Anything you buy PCP, even if you buy a $20 pour, you automatically triple your money. Basically, in 1979, to get $100, you can invest it and you can turn it into literally $300.
In Los Angeles, there are a number of chemical companies that will sell most PCP ingredients to anyone. And with the gang's crime network, it's no trouble setting up a lab.
This is good old American ingenuity. Everything looks like junk, you know, it looks like maybe a $200 trailer, and the truck looks like it was born here, and the rest just plywood. There's not much of an investment at all.
100 miles from downtown Los Angeles and 5 miles from a paved road, LAPD Detective Jim Welch has found one of hundreds of clandestine labs where gang members make PCP to ship to markets like Washington, D.C. The gangs use the desert for the dangerous last stage of production.
Someone just gives them a set of directions and a recipe, and they follow it, and everything turns out right. They have PCP. If it doesn't, we have another statistic.
We sold PCP in Carver Park. We sold it in, in our little neighborhood. Then you had what was called the Willowbrook tracks over there off of Laundry in Compton. And everybody sold Sherm on the tracks. we had like 5 different Compton Crip gangs because nobody was beefing. That was
so there'd be what, 20 people standing outside?
on the tracks.
And who was pulling up? Just all kind of people?
Everyone.
Suburbanites?
Everyone.
Everybody. Okay.
Every nationality.
Okay. So that was a known.
So,
but there was nobody in general in charge of it. If you were from one of the gangs in the area, you could make your little
I used to go on the tracks. I used to go on the tracks, and I'm from all the way from the first neighborhood in Compton, and I'd go through roughly 10 different neighborhoods and go to Willowbrook tracks and sell my PCP.
And was there competition over customers, or there was just so much?
It was so much that, you know, it was enough money for everybody. Yet in the same token, that gave like a jump shot back to gang banging, because now you're able to buy your lowriders, you're able to buy your Regals.
Started to look good.
So now the girls in the Jordache jeans are starting to look at you.
Basically, black gangs have taken the narcotic distribution from a small amount of people that controlled large volume and monopolized the street sales.
This Drug Enforcement Administration agent cannot be identified because he works undercover.
And acquire unlimited amounts of cocaine, and again, using the gang structure, the violent nature of gang activity, they can go into an area, intimidate it, and monopolize street sales.